Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Summer Sustainability Summit brought to you by One Click LCA. This is a two-day free online event for architecture, engineering, construction, manufacturing, and sustainability professionals across the construction value chain. We're delighted to have you here to get inspired, get engaged, and get sustainable. This summer Sustainability Summit is brought to you by OneClick LCA, the global LCA software, which for over 20 years has been making the construction value chain sustainable. With it, you can comply with more than 80 national regulations, standards, and certifications. Access the world's largest construction LCA database with more than 250K LCA datasets and over 20 BIM and other integrations to make your sustainability faster and easier. Learn more about us at oneclicklca.com. And before we start the show, we'd love to hear where you're dialing in from. So go ahead and let us know from what city you're joining the summit. Okay, so we have people from Barcelona, Abuja, I'm not sure. So sorry, Luxembourg, Porto, Italy, very nice, Madrid. Wonderful. India. Oh my God, so exciting. So it's wonderful to see so many different cities and countries and welcome everyone. So let's start today's Sustainability Summit episode. I'm very excited to be joined today by Cecile Dap, Director at Low Carbon Building Initiative, Attendees Project Manager, Environmental Building Design at Artelia, and One-Click LCA Building and Infrastructure LCA EPD Solutions Expert Clara Garcia. Today, we're going to discuss how implementing methodology for the first pan-European low-carbon level measuring the carbon footprint of real estate based on a life cycle assessment is advancing the decarbonization of European real estate. And that's not all. I have very exciting news. Today, during this session, OneClick LCA announces the launch of its LCBI tool, an automated, easy-to-use software solution that helps you adhere to LCBI standards. So this session will offer valuable insights for manufacturers, sustainability specialists, designers, product specialists, and any other stakeholders involved in the design and construction of sustainable buildings. But now I'd like to give our guests the opportunity to introduce themselves. So, Cecile, the floor is yours. Would you like to tell us more about yourself and your role at LCBI?
Yes, thank you. Hello, everyone. I am Cecile Dap. I've been working for strategy and transformation topics in different companies with a focus on carbon pathways. And I've been leading the Low Carbon Building Initiative for 1 year. I'm very happy to be here today.
Thank you so much, Cecile. And Kevin, what about you?
Hi, everyone. Thank you, OneClick, for this audience. For my part, I work for more than 10 years at Artelia on building eco-design, most of it, environmental certification and life cycle analysis of the environmental impacts, including carbon of buildings. So it allows me to support key players in the real estate sector in defining their strategies to reduce the carbon impact of their assets.
That's awesome. Thank you, Kevin. And Clara, now it's your turn.
Hi, I'm Clara Garcia, and I am Business Developer Manager for the regions of Spain and LATAM, so any Spanish-speaking countries.
Thank you, Clara, and thank you, Cecile and Kevin. So now let's kickstart our discussion with the first question, which is, why was the LCBI initiative launched? What issues is it supposed to solve? So Cecile, maybe you could be the perfect person to answer that one.
Yes, thanks. So there was different reasons why LCBI was launched. I would say that the overall global reason is to accelerate real estate decarbonization in general. But then how precisely is that first to solve different issues. First, in Europe, there are many different ways of accounting for whole life cycle carbon of an asset. And because of this, it is impossible today to benchmark assets in terms of carbon footprint. So this is why we started LCBI, for all players to have one common methodological framework and certification scheme with limit values throughout Europe to set benchmarks in real estate. Then another reason is that we believe that the current main certification schemes in real estate do not fit with what the market needs in terms of carbon footprint. Most of the real estate market relies on third-party certification schemes to assess energy and carbon performance of their assets. But the problem is that those certification schemes do not provide transparency on carbon performance, and they do not align with 1.5 pathways, which means that the most assets that are certified today are not aligned with the Paris Agreement, the targets, the European targets for climate change. And so because of this lack of transparency and non-alignment with Paris Agreement, we believe that assets do not have valuable information on carbon. So globally, this is why we launched LCBI, to build a certification schemes that allows for transparent carbon reporting and also with limit values that align with 1.5 degree targets. I don't know, Kevin, if you had anything to add to this point.
Yeah, thank you, Cecile. I would say that we think that the real estate sector must be pushed to achieve Paris Agreement goals for buildings through harmonized and transparent carbon reporting. That was the real struggle to deal with, and by encouraging to reinvent them itself by promoting low carbon building practices, and to encourage the volunteers for it. And beyond that, we believe that the members of the construction industry are eager to play their part in the decarbonization of our economic sector, whatever the context, and without waiting for next political decision. So it was time. And with this LCBI methodology, pathway, thresholds, and certification scheme, as Cecile said, this is what it is and what is encouraged, a real way to take action. So that's what I wanted to add.
That's great. Thank you both for the answer. I think it was quite wide and comprehensive. Next question I have for you is, how does the LCBI methodology align with existing national and European building standards and regulations? Maybe Cecile?
Yeah. As we built LCBI, the important thing to us was that we did not want to reinvent the wheel once again, but to comply as most as possible with what is already market practice and fits with what we wanted to do. So this is why our LCBI methodology aligns with EN 15978 and 15804 standards. And we have also built LCBI upon compatibilities with the levels framework from the European Commission that is used in the taxonomy reporting, as well as the RICS tool. Finally, also to have limit values aligned with 1.5 trajectories, we have aligned with the CREM pathways on operational carbon targets and with the SBTI 1.5 pathways on upfront embodied carbon.
Maybe to add a bit on it. When we started to work on LCBI, we wanted to be an harmonized methodology to assess carbon emissions. So we benchmarked into 8 European countries for a first step. And we found only very few regulations or environmental certification, including carbon life cycle analysis, or if they do so, they did not assess on whole life cycle, and they did not set thresholds to respect. So we have therefore defined this method to aim to be at the crossroads of best practices. This is why we aligned mostly with levels, notably on methodological aspects such as compliance with the EN 15978, by reporting separately on GWP as the EN 15804 plus A2 recommended, by reporting biogenic carbon storage separately, by assessing over the entire life cycle and separating the module D, for example. And we, as Cecile said, we also align with CREM methods to assess operational carbon emissions by reporting with the right national energy mix for each country, which sets different targets. And we also align with the, for example, the LCA allotment for buildings proposed by the RICS. We did some bridges between us. And for example, for the reference area, which is a crucial point of the method, we align with IPMS standard, which allows us to be widely used.
Thank you. That was quite open as an answer. So it's great to hear that you align with so many regulations and standards on European level. The next question for you is, what are the specific criteria and threshold for achieving the different levels of LCBI certification? Maybe Kevin, this time you'd like to start.
Thank you. So the LCBI label assesses a project's ability to reduce carbon emissions over its entire life cycle. So the LCA assess, according to LCBI, assess 3 pure carbon indicators: embodied carbon, operational, and biogenic storage carbon. So those 3 indicators are assessed according to a 2-dimensional combined ranking system, which is applied on those indicators, and it values, first of all, the completeness of the LCA, because for us it is actually the way to have trust in the LCAs that we used and on what we share and on what we discuss across countries. We have to discuss the same language. So the completeness of the LCA was crucial in the ranking system. So it is valued up to 4 stars on embodied carbon. For example, you can reach 1 star if you only assess the LCA for the frame and shell, and 4 stars, the best number of stars, if you assess technical and services. So this is the first part of the ranking system, and the other part is the low carbon performance. So we set 2 targets to reach. The first one, the target 1, is the open gate to LCBI performance. So we assess, this is the first step, and the target 2 is the exemplary level of performance, low carbon performance that you can reach according to this methodology. And yeah, just to add, so to do so, we have conducted multiple studies by analyzing results obtained with qualitative data, with pilot project studies and results, and quantitative data. We crossed both ways of having data. Those were quantitative data with the help of OneClick. So this, in order to set thresholds that can be trustful, it was really one of the direction we wanted to add by this. And finally, when you do all that, you can reach 3 levels of LCBI ranking by reaching the first one is standard. So it captures top 50% of robust LCAs and value like 2035 energy performance. And the second one is a level performance, so it captures top 35 and value the building that have reduced their carbon emissions by more than 50% over their entire life cycle, compared to business as usual always. And the best level that you can reach on LCBI is the excellence one, and it captures the top 25%, awarding the buildings that have reduced their carbon emissions by more than 30% over their entire life cycle.
Great. Thanks, Kevin. So just to add up to that, as Kevin just explained, we have managed to define this matrix ranking that allows to value on one side the carbon footprint and on the other side the data completeness. And the goal by doing that is for the LCBI certification scheme to highlight the most performing low carbon assets, but also to encourage stakeholders to conduct the most precise and complete life cycle analysis, which is what we think the market needs. And I would also add some few details about the certification scheme that we're talking about. So we at LCBI, we are part of a non-profit, and we are responsible of updating and publishing this methodology, but we do not ourselves deliver the certification scheme. It's delivered by third-party certifiers. So currently it's Bureau Veritas in Europe. And in order to allow for strict third-party verification of the data. And currently, the LCBI certification scheme can be delivered in 8 European countries for new built assets, offices, residential, hotels, and we also have plans to extend it to other asset classes.
Actually, I would like to add here that it's very interesting that you have added like these 8 countries, and also to see Spain in them. I think it's really good for like also our country, and also it can mean a really big push for the region to have like this ambitious scheme and the benchmark to be able to have with another European countries. So yeah, I just wanted to add that. Thank you.
Thanks.
As just an additional question, what are those 8 countries?
So those 8 countries are France, the UK, Germany, Belgium, Luxembourg, the Netherlands, Spain, and Italy.
That's great. Thanks for your answers. So the next question is, what are the anticipated impacts and market advantages of the LCBI certification on the landscape in European real estate? And Cecile, maybe you?
Yeah. So we anticipate that this common framework will enable carbon performance transparency throughout the entire value chain, and also highlight which buildings are truly low carbon and 1.5 aligned. With those elements, we believe that all stakeholders, lenders, tenants, investors, fund managers that care about carbon will be able to better identify and price low carbon buildings. So in the end, it will allow the entire value chain to reflect the carbon in the pricing, accelerate low carbon investment, and also drive all real estate owners to transition their building stock faster.
Yeah, and from our point of view, the LCBI label comes into the real estate sector and landscape at a crucial moment, we think. This crucial moment is of renewal for the sector. So we see it every day. Our customers are such more concerned about the decarbonization of their assets because their financing is now indexed to the real carbon reduction targets, and also because their ESG policies are more proactive in contributing to the decarbonization of the sector, which, for instance, responsible for 25% of the global emissions. So that's why we also see real estate members that are really in demand to take action for that.
From my point of view, I would say that it really allows the real estate to be able to do a life cycle assessment, but with a clear and really understandable common scope, and that it's ambitious, like I said, and also leading to have like a proper benchmark of between buildings. And also it allows them to analyze the real reasons of the CO2 emissions, the CO2 limits that it has, the metrics behind it, how the materials really impact these metrics, and how is it possible to also reduce it and have these like exemplary targets. And also I would say that the fact that the certification is verified by an external auditor, from my perspective, gives really a guarantee to all the calculations.
Mhm. Yeah, exactly.
That's great. Thank you, everyone, for your contribution. And next question, also on the practical side. How can one-click LCA facilitate the achievement of LCBI reporting in compliance with European building standards?
Okay, so with this, let me introduce you to the one-click LCA LCBI tool. It enables the whole life cycle carbon assessment in alignment with the low carbon building initiative. It supports the data according to the EN 15804 plus A1 and plus A2 standards. It reports separately embodied carbon and operational carbon. The embodied carbon is reported in kilograms of CO2 equivalent per square meter over the whole life cycle carbon, the whole life cycle. The operational energy impacts are reported in kilograms CO2 equivalent per square meter per year. And additionally, the biogenic carbon storage is reported in a separate result category. So as the LCBI said.
Well, that's great. So now we offer a practical solution to comply and to be certified. So to learn more about LCBI tool, please follow the link in the comments. This is an exciting step forward the European real estate. So that's great news for everyone. And before we dive into the Q&A section, let's go through the top 3 takeaways from the discussions we've just had. So, and Cecile, I would like to give the floor to you to share your takeaways with the audience.
Thank you. Well, as takeaways of this session, I would say that what is key about the LCBI certification scheme and together with the one-click LCA module is that together they form something that it's supporting something that is really needed and missing in the market today to accelerate transition to low carbon. The data transparency first, thanks to this, as it was said many times today, thanks to a transparent reporting on carbon footprint. Then, as also explained earlier, on the second point, LCBI will allow to value those assets that are accounting on entire life cycle, and which of their assets are truly low carbon and aligned with Paris Agreement. And finally, together, I think that LCBI and one-click LCA module will allow to set this European benchmark of assets and to be able to accelerate what is needed to go faster now today.
Okay, thank you. Maybe, I don't know, Kevin, if you have something to add.
Yeah, thanks. On a pragmatic way of talking, through the LCA modelizer part, I just would say that if you're already running LCAs for buildings, this is not such a big step to take to make it according to the LCBI methodology. So, yeah, I mean, don't be afraid of. And even so, it's the beginning for you. Yeah, the LCA is not such a big thing. We need everyone to be on board, and by seeing the comments and the market comments, we think that it is going in the right way. So feel free to ask questions, contact with Cecile and everyone, so that we could all work in the same way.
Yeah, you're right. Maybe Anna, as a last point, if I have the time.
Yeah, of course.
I would add, and we didn't underline that enough, that of course there is the environmental impact and transparency that we and regulatory compliance also that we care about, but we truly believe that this certification scheme, because it's European, because it's also it has been supported now by main European real estate players, is going to become a market advantage for the assets that are certified with LCBI. It's taking time, but now the low carbon value of an asset is becoming a reality. So yeah, we believe that it's a way also to value your asset and your brand as a real estate stakeholder.
Yeah, that sounds wonderful, and thank you a lot for sharing the takeaways and your insights. And if you want to know more about the LCBI tool and one-click LCA sounds like a solution for your needs, you now have the opportunity to book a one-click LCA software demo with our team of carbon experts. You will see a live poll asking if you would like a one-click LCA business team member to contact you to book a custom demo and get advice about decarbonizing construction and manufacturing. If so, just click yes in the poll and we will contact you to set up a call. Thank you. Okay, I hope everyone tapped yes, and we can start with our live Q&A. Okay, so we have a first question, quite exciting. So how does the LCBI align with SBTI goal setting, disclosure, etc.? Who would like to take this one?
Kevin, do you want to take it or should I take it?
Yeah, I can start, and you can add some if you want. So yeah, the SBTI goals are different according to what kind of company you are. So if you do build buildings, you will have to report now on the operational carbon of emissions of your building, and also on the embodied one. So as LCBI does respond to the needs of the SBTI reporting, and also it aligns on the target sets by in a way by SBTI. The difference is that SBTI only has to report on upfront carbon, I think, and LCBI is reporting on the most complete perimeters, such as whole life cycle carbon. So it would be more inclusive carbon emissions in the results. But yeah, it aligns for me on the SBTI goals.
And yeah, thanks, Kevin. Maybe to add up to that, how we did that is that when we, as Kevin explained earlier, we set up thresholds thanks to pilot projects on one side, but also thanks to data analysis on the other side. And when we set up thresholds on embodied carbon, on full embodied carbon, we also were able to divide these thresholds to look at upfront embodied carbon and compare these upfront thresholds with the thresholds from the SBTI. So I don't have the image here, but there is this those pathways from the SBTI on upfront embodied carbon for offices, residential, that goes down from years to years, and we have compared with the 2022 or 2023, I think, number for upfront embodied carbon of SBTI.
Okay.
At asset level, of course.
Thank you, Ulrika, for your question. I hope that answers it, and we're ready for the next one. So how does LCBI interact with GRESB ECG reporting?
Yeah, I'm gonna take this one if it's okay. So currently, as we explained during the presentation, the way LCBI works is that it allows you to, in the end, when you have done the LCBI reporting, you have a transparent reporting of all of your data. So you can directly use those data to go into GRESB or ESG reporting. Currently, there is not yet, I would say, an official link between LCBI and GRESB. We are discussing also to establish this eventual link with them.
Okay, that's great. Kevin, anything to add?
Not so much on that part. Cecilia said, I think the best. Maybe that in the certification scheme we put some more infos in the annex of the scheme. So maybe you could find some answers to your question on that part.
Okay. Thank you very much for the question and your answers. And we are going to take more questions. So question coming from Philippa. How can LCBI certification boost environmental, social, and sustainability standards in Europe's real estate market and influence stakeholders, especially contractors?
Who wants to start? I mean, I can start if you want, but yeah, okay. I'm gonna start answering, and I leave you complete this. Okay, so first, it's a very complete question. I would say that we are focusing as in LCBI. We don't argue on the complexity of the environmental and social challenges that we are facing. Like, we know there are many indicators, except for carbon, that we all need to follow. At LCBI, we decided first to focus on carbon because we believe, as you saw during this discussion, that already counting for carbon in a precise and transparent manner is already super difficult. So what I would say to answer your question is that we know that we are going to boost environmental and sustainability standards, but on the social part, maybe it's not primarily our focus. But then, yeah, okay. Then, as a second part of an answer, I would say that all European players, by choosing to certify with LCBI, they will, at the same time, comply with the standards we talked about, EN 15804, EN 978. They will also, for some of them, it would encourage them as a first step to count carbon for the first time. This is also what we saw during the pilot phase that we had. Some players counted carbon of their assets almost for the first time. So I would say that it's going to also drive low carbon practices in the market and yes, start to diffuse the message that we need to count for carbon, and in this way it will influence stakeholders, I think. I don't know, Kevin is.
Yeah, maybe I can take from there. what you say, Cecile, is the real key of the beginning of the LCBI certification, boosting the environmental sustainability and also social, I think, because first of all, we want stakeholders such as contractors to account for their environmental impacts by a developer setting targets, LCBI targets in the requirement for the contractors to be reached. They oblige them to use materials and technical services that are covered by EPDs. And in that EPDs, thanks to EN 15804 plus A1 and plus A2, more than 20 environmental indicators are assessed so that the project team can see whether the material is damaging the environment or not. And by doing so, for each of the materials, you can reach the LCBI levels. But also what it means is that a contractor using materials for building the building, construct the building, they do have to be warned on what material they are using and choose less environmental damaging ones because the targets are there. So yes, LCBI is focusing on the carbon, but by looking at the carbon, you can look at other environmental indicators, and it lets the responsibility to the project team and the contractors to less damage the environment. So LCBI drive all of this, I think.
Yeah, you're right. And I think as a last point, but I already said this in the presentation, but so LCBI certification scheme is now open for certification. Some buildings in Europe are already getting certified in different countries, and I think this is also what is going to influence the stakeholders. People are going to see the first certified buildings with transparent reporting on carbon footprint, and also benchmarking themselves compared to the same values all over Europe. And this is going to also drive contractors, investors to say like, okay, I want to be the best one. I want I want to be able to compare myself to all of these other buildings. Yeah, so I think it's a quite complete way of driving the market in that direction.
And Clara, maybe like from like more like our business perspective, have you seen the increase on this drive and demand for this carbon transparency?
Yeah, basically, I was going to say the same as the last point of Cecile. Like, I think
Sorry.
it's really no, I think it's really important for that, like, to have a really like comparable buildings across Europe. That it's not only like, okay, wait, I'm going to change my assessment until we have the same scope and then we can compare. It is already like that. And also, I would say that is the main strength, that it is focused on the building and the materials. It's not diffused on other parts of the surroundings of the building or the impacts. Like, it's focused. So that really helps from the point of view of One Click, that we've seen many other certification schemes. Like, I think it's really important. It's the strength of LCBI.
Okay, thank you very much for the question and your answers. So let's take another one. Emma is asking, what exactly... Sorry. Yes. So the question from Emma is, what exactly is your role in LCBI? Reviewing, verifying, and assessing the LCA provided to you? Does Bureau Veritas conduct the same verification?
Okay, thanks for this question. Emma, so our LCBI is an initiative, part of a French nonprofit. This French nonprofit, it's called BBCA. It has been working on building life cycle assessment certification schemes for 10 years. So it's been 10 years that in France, first, we have been building methodologies to I would say educate the market on the fact that we need to use life cycle assessments. LCBI has the same role. So our role is to on one side to coordinate and define the methodologies thanks to independent technical commissions. Kevin is one of the lead of this technical commission. And on the other side, we have the role to also drive real estate stakeholders to commit to this methodology and certification schemes. And for example, for LCBI, we had 10 European stakeholders supporting the build of this initiative. And for example, AXA IM, Ivanhoe Cambridge, generally, and so on. So our role is not to conduct the verification, is to coordinate all of this work. And of course, to methodology has been built, we need to use it. But Bureau Veritas conduct this third-party verification on its own. And also Bureau Veritas might not be the only one. I mean, today it is the only one, but it can be another third-party certifier.
Yeah, and for us, Artelia, we, as Cecile said, we participated with others to develop the LCBI methodology in all. And we are not verifying the LCBI files candidates, but we can help developer to certify to propose a project into the LCBI certification. Bureau Veritas is for now the only third-party verifier of the certification.
Okay, thank you. And next question. Okay, does LCBI incorporate financial impact? It's quite interesting of a question.
Hi, Kutlo, thank you. Trying to think 1 minute of this question. No, so the answer is at first no. Well, we count carbon, and as we said earlier, we are purely focusing on carbon. Then we don't exclude that it has a financial impact. As I said earlier, the role, I really believe that roles of certification schemes in general is to give value where the market has still not incorporated the value that is needed, according to us. And we think, we think that the market has still not incorporated the carbon value of assets. So we do not count for financial impact directly, but it is an impact that we want to happen. And we are also thinking now of measuring, for example, in the future, what could be a price impact or lending impact on the LCBI certified assets in the future.
Yeah, maybe if I can add a bit more on this, Cecile, to complete. This is a really interesting question, and I think everybody is awaiting the answer, but the complexity of giving a general one is that it is also difficult on the project focus to identify where are the how do you say it? The overestimated cost of the low carbon practices. So whereas it could be also coming from other reasons that you have more cost of your project. So I think we will look into it, but and maybe if we have some interesting data, we will share it in the future. I don't know. We will see it with what we can have, but for now, the LCBI is not, imposing everything on it, and we do not have such.
Okay, thank you for such an interesting question. And we're ready to take the final question now, which is gonna be, is there going to be compatibility with lead and BREEAM schemes?
Hey, thank you for this question. Well, I don't want to take Clara's answer, but I believe that what also is useful with, what's great about the one-click LCI is that it allows directly to do this kind of compatibility. You know what I mean? When you have the tool, you can conduct both calculations faster. Well, right now there is not yet any compatibility with LEED or BREEAM, but this is something we can think about in the future.
Yeah, and with one click, basically, if you have already done an assessment with another scheme, it would be just to add the LCBI one, and it will adapt the data. So you don't have to introduce the same data for the same project again. It will copy the results. I mean, it will adapt the calculations to the new scheme.
Okay, thank you very much for your answers. That was last question for the session, and it's been wonderful to see so much interest towards LCBI. So at this point, I would like to mention One Click LCA Academy. It is a free training program as a part of our commitment to train 1 million low-carbon experts by 2030. So access hundreds of hours of on-demand course materials at One Click LCA Academy, or attend one of our live week-long bootcamps for comprehensive training on EPD and LCA concepts with our in-house experts. And just a hint, one bootcamp is coming up in June. So you can enroll for the next one via the QR code in this slide or by visiting academy.oneclicklca.com. But that's not all. The next session is coming up. Join our keynote Embodied Carbon as Critical Investment Criteria, featuring Robbie Epsom, EMEA Head of Sustainability and Senior Director at CBRE Investment Management, and Panu Passanen, CEO and founder of One Click LCA. So stay tuned for the next one. And we're always happy to hear from you. If you would like to contact at One Click LCA, please visit oneclicklca.com. Or you're also welcome to follow us on LinkedIn and check out our new YouTube channel, which is rich on content about decarbonizing the industry. That's all for now, and see you next time.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Anna, Clara. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone. See ya.